The printer at gate 11 jammed every morning at 6:45, and Lena Osi had learned to kneel beside it and hold the paper tray at a slight angle while it thought. She was doing exactly that when the captain came down the concourse. She noticed him because of the uniform. 4 gold stripes on each shoulder board, the navy coat pressed to a crease you could measure, crew bag rolling straight behind him on the terrazzo. He moved the way pilots moved when they had done this 10,000 times, not fast, slow, reading the gate numbers without looking like he was reading anything at all. Black man, late 40s, close-cut gray at the temples. Lena watched him the way you watch someone who seems to belong exactly where they are. She looked back at the printer. The paper caught. The queue began to spit boarding passes. She did not hear Derek Voss until she heard his voice. Excuse me, not a question. A placement. The kind of voice that expected the space in front of it to clear. Lena looked up. Voss had moved from behind his podium to the mouth of the jet bridge, and he was standing in it, filling the doorway, one hand on each wall. Looking at the captain the way a person looks at something they have already decided is wrong before they have checked what it is. This is a secured boarding bridge, Voss said. I need to see your authorization. The captain stopped. He did not step back. He set the crew bag handle down with the quiet of someone who has nowhere else to be and pulled the lanyard from inside his coat. He held the credential card out so Voss could read it without reaching for it. Captain Jerome Adele, he said. Crestway Flight 11 Fiend to Harland. Gate 11. Voss looked at the card. Something shifted in his face, not recognition, not reassessment. A door closing. I'm going to need more than that, Voss said. All right. The captain reached into his breast pocket and produced his Federal Aviation Administration pilot certificate, the laminated card worn soft at the edges from years in the same pocket. He held it beside the crew ID, rated on the 37 and the 220. 22 years with Crestway. You're welcome to call operations. They have me on the manifest. Behind Lena, boarding area had gone quiet. Not the theatrical quiet of people listening on purpose. The instinctive quiet of people who have stopped moving because something in the air has changed. A woman in a window seat with a carry-on paused 2 feet from the bridge entrance. A family of 4 stopped walking. A man in a blazer holding coffee looked up from his phone and did not look back down. Voss did not look at the certificates. He looked at the captain. I'm going to need you to step back from the bridge, he said. I'm going to make a call. Go ahead, Captain Adele said. His voice was the same temperature it had been when he stated his name. Not warm, not cold, level. I'll be here. Voss unclipped the radio from his belt. Operations, this is Voss at Gate 11. I have an individual at the jet bridge who is claiming to be the captain on 114. I need verification. Lena's fingers had stopped on the paper tray. She was aware of her own stillness. Claiming to be, said the man in the blazer, not loudly to no one in particular. On the radio, a pause. Then the operations voice, a little wary. Derek, we have Captain Adele checked in and cleared for pre-flight on 114. He should be at the gate. I have someone who says they're Captain Adele, Voss said. I need a physical description on file. Another pause. Longer. The captain did not move. He did not sigh. He had put the certificates back in his pocket, and he stood with his hands at his sides and his bag at his feet, and he looked at Derek Voss with an expression Lena would think about for a long time afterward. Not anger, not pleading, not the helpless blankness of a person who doesn't know what to do. It was something quieter and more difficult to name. The look of someone who has been here before and has decided a long time ago exactly how they will stand. Mr. Voss, the captain said, quietly enough that only Voss and Lena and the 2 nearest passengers could hear. What standard are you applying? Because I have shown you my crew ID, my federal license, and my airline credentials. Asking which verification requirement I have not met. Voss's jaw set. I'm applying the standard I apply to every Mr. Voss. The voice came from the far end of the jet bridge corridor, not loud, not urgent, precise. The voice of someone who measures words before they spend them. Lena turned. A woman in a navy blazer with a federal badge clipped at her lapel was walking toward them from the direction of the operations corridor, clipboard in one hand and a tablet in the other. Mid-50s, white, silver-streaked hair pulled back, the unhurried stride of someone who has been inside 100 of these terminals and knows every trick the light plays in them. She was reading her tablet as she walked. She looked up when she reached the gate desk. She looked at the captain. Something crossed her face, not surprise exactly. Recognition. "Jerome Adele," she said. "Claudette," the captain said. And for the first time something eased in the set of his shoulders. Not relief. Something older and quieter than relief. FAA Inspector Claudette Marsh, Lena would learn the name in the next 4 minutes, had been conducting an unannounced mid-operations audit of Crestway's Terminal C, handling procedures since 6 a.m. she had trained. Lena would also learn 41 commercial pilots, over a 12-year stint at the Regional Flight Academy, before moving to federal compliance. Jerome Adele had been in her second class. She did not say any of this yet. She looked at Derek Voss. "I'm Inspector Marsh, FAA Flight Operations Division," she said, showing her badge. "I've been in operations since 6. Would you tell me what's happening here?" Voss straightened. "I'm conducting a credential verification for an individual who presented at the jet bridge without." "He presented his crew ID and his pilot certificate," said the man in the blazer. The words came out more firmly than he'd probably intended. He looked slightly surprised at himself. He did not walk them back. "That's right," said the woman with the carry-on. Voss looked at the gate. The gate looked back at him. Inspector Marsh set her clipboard on the lip of Lena's desk and held her hand out toward Voss. "May I see the credentials you collected?" He has them," Voss said. She turned to the captain. He produced them again without a word. The crew ID, the pilot certificate, and handed them to Marsh. She looked at them for perhaps 6 seconds. Then she held them out to Voss. "Read the name on the certificate, please," she said. A beat of silence. "Captain Jerome Adele," Voss said, quietly. Something had gone out of his voice. "Commercial airline transport certificate," Marsh said. "Type rated 737 and 220. 22 years of service. 0 violations, 0 incidents." She did not look at her notes when she said this. "I know this record because I signed the evaluation when he earned it." She took the credentials back from Voss and returned them to the captain. "Captain Adele, you have pre-flight to complete. I'll see to things here." Adele took the credentials. He picked up his crew bag. He looked at Voss for one moment, not with triumph, not with contempt, with the same level of patience he had held the entire time. "Thank you," he said to Marsh. He walked through the jet bridge door. Lena watched him go. Through the small oval window at the bridge's bend she could see, a moment later, the shape of him moving toward the cockpit threshold, the 4 gold stripes steady in the gate morning light. Behind her, boarding area made a sound. Not applause, not quite. More like breath released. The man in the blazer put his coffee down on a seat arm. The woman with the carry-on let out a long exhale through her nose. The family of 4 looked at each other and then looked away, as people do when they have witnessed something they want to stay with. Inspector Marsh was speaking to Voss in a voice too low for the gate to hear. Lena could see Voss's face, the color in it, the stillness. When Marsh finished, she picked up her clipboard and her tablet and walked toward the operations corridor without looking back. Voss stood at the podium for a moment, then a Crestway shift supervisor, a woman Lena had seen twice, and whose name she didn't know yet, came through the operations door and spoke 2 sentences to him. He unclipped his gate badge. He handed it over. He walked toward the main concourse. The shift supervisor stepped up to the podium, straightened the boarding schedule, and looked out at the gate. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said, "we are cleared for boarding on Crestway Flight 114 to Harland. We'll begin with premier members and families needing extra time." The line formed. The boarding passes scanned, one after another, clean, 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 clean. Lena stood at the desk and watched them file through and thought about the 6 seconds it had taken Inspector Marsh to read a credential that Derek Voss had refused to read at all. She thought about the captain's hands, both of them at his sides, the bag handle on the floor, not a tremor in him, while the radio made its insulting little pause. She thought about the question he had asked. "Which verification requirement have I not met?" A door he'd left open, in case Voss wanted to walk through it and be reasonable. Voss had not walked through it. She thought about what it cost a person to stand that still. The last passenger scanned through. The bridge door closed. Through the big windows at the end of the gate, Lena watched Flight 11 push back from the stand, slow and precise, the way those big machines always moved. As if they had all the time in the world and knew exactly where they were going. It lifted at 7:14, on schedule. The FAA's formal notice to Crestway Airlines arrived, before the plane reached cruising altitude. Derek Voss's gate credentials were suspended pending HR and legal review. The process, Lena would hear later, moved swiftly, and did not end in his favor. Inspector Marsh's audit report recommended a terminal-wide crew credential handling review and new training requirements for all gate supervisors. Requirements that, when they were finalized, specified clearly and without ambiguity that a valid FAA pilot certificate and a matching crew ID constituted complete authorization, and that any supervisor who deviated from that standard without documented operational cause would answer to the compliance office directly. Crestway's director of flight operations issued a written apology to Captain Adele. He read it, filed it, and flew 3 more rotations that week. Lena heard through the operations grapevine that he had not said much about it, that he had sat down in the left seat, run his pre-flight checks, of 114 to Harland and back the same as any other Tuesday. She thought that sounded exactly right. She thought about it for a long time. The way a person can hold their ground without making the ground about themselves. Ask the one clean question, and then simply wait for the truth to do what truth does when you give it enough room. She got better at fixing the printer. She got better at a lot of things.